Welcome back, cooks, to our Oreo Cheesecake with Oreo Crust lesson. We'll go ahead and grab our KitchenAid mixer with our whisk attachment. We'll also need 2 packages of 8-ounce cream cheese blocks. Now, when you pull these out the fridge, because they're cold, they're going to be kind of hard, so you'll want to let them set out in the bowl for a minute. You want them nice and soft, right as you can put your spatula through. You don't want these hard bricks and starting up the mixer, so make sure they've been softened a little bit. Next, we'll go ahead and we'll grab our half measuring cup, as we'll need a half cup of granulated sugar. We'll go ahead and pour that right in. We'll go ahead and grab our Madagascar vanilla bean extract. For this, we'll need just a half teaspoon. So we'll go ahead and measure that out. Then we'll just pour this in the bowl as well. Now you're also going to need some eggs, but we're not going to put that in yet. We'll wait till we start mixing. Let's go ahead and lift the top of the mixer up, and we'll secure and lock our bowl in for safety. Always make sure this is secured and locked in at the bottom. You'll feel it. Let's go ahead and put our mixer head down. Grab our whisk, as we'll need this as well. These are a little tricky, but if you put them on and just turn it, you can go back and forth and you'll feel that it's locked. Now there's a lock on the back. We'll secure that. Always start your mixtures off low and walk it up. So we'll start from 1. We're just going to go up to 2 because the ingredients are still a little bit cold, so we don't want to turn it on high yet. Now this is a process. You'll see the ingredients start to mix. As it's mixed up a little bit, we'll go ahead and bump it up to speed 2 because you're going to want to gradually move up on your mixer. We may go all the way up to 4 by the end, as we'll have a smooth whipped texture, almost like whipped cream, but we have to do a couple things first before we get there. We'll let this go ahead and mix for about 2 to 3 minutes or until it's a smooth textured consistency. Meanwhile, we'll go ahead and we'll get our 2 eggs prepped and ready. Instead of cracking these directly over the machine, we find it safer to use that cup we used earlier for our sugar. We'll go ahead and crack both of these eggs. This way you can control slowly pouring them in while it's mixing. The reason we say that is you don't want to drop both of them in, you'll want to slowly mix them in. Once your eggs are both in there, you'll go ahead and let this mix again for about 3 minutes. Then you can turn it off and go ahead and just take your spatula, get all that thick stuff off the whisk. No worries, we're going to re-whisk this again at a higher speed. But right now we want to fold everything off the edges of the bowl and make sure it's all mixed in. Then we'll turn it up to a higher speed and make that fluffy whipped mixture that we need. So you want to make sure you scrape from the walls. Get all that into the center. We'll go ahead and lock our bowl back on. And this is where we're going to use the higher speeds because now we can get it nice and fluffy. So we'll turn it up to about 3 or 4. Let's go ahead and unlock our bowl, and here's that fluffy, whipped, finished consistency. We'll go ahead and move our mixer out the way. And next up, let's get our Oreos. We use mini Oreos. They tend to be easier to crush, but you can use whatever kind you like. We'll go ahead and grab a Ziploc bag and add some of those mini Oreos in, and we're just going to crush them by hand. There's no exact science to this. Just try to get it as fine as possible. I like to open the bag so it doesn't pop, and that way you can go ahead and crush finely as possible. You still want them to have some bite, so don't crush too finely, but just large enough to mix in. We'll grab our cheesecake mixture we made earlier on the mixer, and all we're going to do is go ahead and open the Ziploc bag of our crushed mini Oreos. There's no science to this. We're just going to go ahead and fold these in using our spatula, and we're going to try to mix it up thoroughly so there's some Oreos mixed in all throughout. And this is our crushed Oreos. Remember, we used about a half cup of the mini Oreo cookies. We'll go ahead and pour all these into our cheesecake mixture. And it's up to you. They make many varieties of Oreos, pumpkin Oreos, mint Oreos, lemon Oreos. So whatever your choice, we just went with the regular ones on this recipe. But again, it's to your liking. You can choose whatever kind you like. We're just going to take our spatula, do a couple of folds, mix it in. You want to make sure those pieces are mixed all throughout the bowl. No heavy mixing. This is just light folds. So as you see, we're going to make all of those pieces disappear. And then next, it'll be time to get our crust. That's the consistency you want, light and fluffy, with those Oreo pieces mixed in. We've got a nice Oreo pie crust we're going to use. And they make many different varieties, graham cracker, chocolate, Reese's, all pre-made crusts, so use whatever to your liking. And we'll pull the plastic covering off the top. You'll have to fold the foil back. Pull this piece of plastic out. We'll discard this piece, and here's our crust, no cracks in it, and let's get that delicious cheesecake topping. We'll go ahead and do a live listen and fill in our crust. And you'll just want to make sure you get out as much as the cheesecake filling out the bowl. We'll go ahead and smooth this over later. I know, cooks, this looks delicious, but remember there's raw eggs in here, so you can't lick the spoon like we did when we were kids. You'll have to just wash everything. So make sure you get out as much filling as possible, as we want all of it to be used when we bake it in the oven. This next part, cooks, it takes a little bit of patience. You can use either a butter knife or use your spatula. You'll want to do this slowly. I'll speed the video up here, but what you're trying to do is go in a full 360 circle motion, and you just want to spread everything evenly to the outer crust, and we'll do a full 360 to make sure it's smooth on top. This way, when your cheesecake finally bakes, you can place your Oreos in and you'll have a smooth top finish. Let's take a look here. We'll go ahead and add this into the oven after we've topped and leveled it off. But remember, there's raw eggs in here, so we'll cook it for about 10 or 15 minutes, and then we'll pull it out and add some mini Oreos to the top. These are our mini Oreos from earlier. Now that our egg is kind of cooked, again, it has to be about at least 10 or 15 minutes. See how it's stiffened up a little bit? This will allow you to lay the Oreos on top without them sinking in because it is a little stiff. You can go ahead and push them down a little bit so they're embedded. No exact designs here. Have fun with this. We did a circle and did some in the middle. And again, this is just for the topping. That way when you cut in for each piece, you'll get a couple of whole Oreos as well as the ones that are mixed in with the mixture. Have fun with this, create whatever design you want, or even change it up and put different flavored Oreos on top or whatever cookies you choose. After we're done here, we'll go ahead and put it back in the oven at 325 degrees Fahrenheit, and we'll let it cook for the remainder period of the time. Remember, you should have about 25 minutes left.
As you're removing it from the oven, you'll see that it's a bit puffy, and that is totally normal. Remember to allow the cheesecake to cool for half an hour, and then in the fridge for another 2 hours or more. That's where it'll begin to fall and solidify. Then you end up with a super satisfying Oreo loaded cheesecake that looks like this. Voila! It's so good, we couldn't help but take a bite, folks. Thanks for baking with B&T's. Enjoy!